Okay, everyone, welcome to the workshop. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Malloy.
Here.
Mr. Hernandez.
Here.
Mr. Bernard.
Here.
Item number 1 is to dispense with reading the minutes of the workshop dated July 21st and the regular meeting dated July 22nd. Accept and approve the video recordings of both meetings as official meeting minutes. And then we're going to skip down to item 18. And this was submitted by Diane Jakovic. Okay.
Hi, again. Good morning, gentlemen. Number 18 is regarding the Senior Service Levy Council's recommendations for the contracts to award for in-home services. Many of the council members are here. I don't know if you want to introduce yourselves or just raise your hand. They're here to speak on behalf of the recommendations that they made. As follows, we've got protective services for $270,000, 135 each to direction home and guardianship for protective services. We've got in-home services for homemaker and personal care, country neighbor at $40,000, Merkins and Associates at $262,500, care builders at home at $362,500, and Cornerstone Caregiving at $100,000. On the following page, we've got adult daycare, Antonine Sisters at $150,000, and Youngstown Area Jewish Federation, which is new to our program this year, at $50,000. Just in the daycare, they've always done in-home home delivered meals, but now they have requested, and the council agreed to award $50,000 to the Youngstown Area Jewish Federation daycare. And the last program is the home delivered meal programs. We've got Country Neighbor being awarded what they requested. They deal with the northern tier of the county for home delivered meals at $96,660. Youngstown Area Jewish at $281,810,000, and Trumbull Mobile Meals $331,530. And then finally the mini grants, the same two that we've been awarding the last I don't know how many years now. They're the only two that requested. We've got Liberty Township with their Senior Watch program and Mercy Health with their exercise programs. Now, I did provide to you in a separate spreadsheet the amount that was requested versus the amount that was being awarded. Of course, a lot more was requested than what we can afford to award. We didn't have any new vendors this cycle, other than Youngstown Area Jewish asking for the adult daycare program. So I know the board members, the various board members that are here represent the different programs that we offer. If there's any questions, they're here to answer those questions. Open the floor to the council members.
I just have a question about protective services. I've talked to current board member and previous board members. They didn't think we were getting our money's worth out of that. Do we know how many people are provided services and what the average cost is per person that they've dealt with?
Might have that here.
It was brought up to my attention that it would be cheaper just to go one at a time as we need it instead of a contract to pay them so much money contracted to them with the number of people that were utilizing it.
That would be changing the RFP terms, and I don't believe that we could do that this cycle unless we declined to award in that and do a whole other program. We've never done it that way. The protective service program that's being requested, one of them is Guardian Protective Services through the courts. So the court sees a case and then they assign the guardianship to Josh Garris of Guardian Protective Services. GAPS is the name of the company. The other program that we're funding is the Ombudsman program, which is through Direction Home. And that is trying to get people that are in a nursing home back out into the community and living independently in their own space. Now, I did have, there's a survey that's done every 5 years, and they're currently undergoing that survey through Miami University to review how local service dollars are being used throughout the state. And the last cycle when they did this survey, all the levies throughout the state, the last 3 items that are being funded, one of those is adult protective. They're only usually getting about 22% of the levies across the state. Mental health at 11%, and then other, which is where senior center facilities would fall under. The highest funded programs throughout the state is medical transportation, non-medical, at 87% of the levies being funding those programs. And then on down, it goes through home delivered meals, congregate meals. Adult protective is the least funded across the state. The other thing that I found with the state, as far as they're directed with nursing homes, they have really been trying to improve the nursing home facilities across the state, the services being provided. So we feel like we're following the same directive as the state in trying to clean up the nursing home services by having this funding, added funding this year for the ombudsman program as opposed to the adult protective. It's an area of need for sure, but they all are. You know, this is the council's tough decision to decide how to allocate the funds.
But do we know how many people?
Greatest need. 77 people is what I remember, guardianship protective services. I don't have that. I had sent that to you in the past, but I don't have it with me today. I think I looked at the billing just yesterday, and Guardian Protective had 77 people that they served, and the ombudsman program, it was like 135 people that they served.
Where are you hearing this, Commissioner? This is.
A previous board member and a current board member reached out and said, hey, look into this. We're paying way too much per person. And they didn't think the value was there.
Was it unanimous?
Yes.
Well,
I mean,
and yes, if it's unanimous, but
I
they
mean,
said
it was
they get the
unanimous,
figures of how much it is per person we're spending. We'll see that that's way out of kilter compared to the in-home services and the other areas.
It's a challenging, high cost, just like adult daycare is.
It's thousands per person, according to your math, then, though, is what you're saying.
The adult protective services is, you know, lawyers in court that are being assigned the duty to keep people safe in their own environment. They've been subject to neglect, whether it's by family members or they've got their own personal issues where they have poor spending habits, and that's where that guardian steps in to make sure that they're taking their meds and they're spending their money appropriately and not gambling it or drugs or. So, I mean, you're dealing with lawyer fees, and that's why the cost per hour is higher.
I don't have any reason to. Commissioner, I appreciate what you brought up, but the board is unanimous with it. I don't have any objection, especially in this type, protective services for our seniors. I think that that's needed. And I don't know about going one-on-one or, I don't know how you would, per case, it would be kind of tough to initiate somebody one or something per case,
Have they used up all the money that we've allocated to them per person and requested more, or?
Yes, every category is using their funds these days.
Diane, you haven't received any written complaints or anything on this, have you?
No,
And the board hasn't heard any complaints either, correct?
No, we actually hear from our protective services.
Could you state your name, please, for the record? State your name.
Sandra Scott, I'm president of the board, chairperson of the board. We have a monthly meeting and we hear from the protective services adult person who's hired to take care of the Trumbull County Sheriff. Gets into the report every month. He's got every case he's done. We hear complaints, we hear concerns. It's never correct towards the organization or towards the service. It's always something that couldn't get done.
Thank you.
Thank you, State.
Yes, ma'am.
Barbara
State your name.
Bengal. When I worked for the county, I worked in the title department and I had firsthand knowledge of seeing Josh come in, people for his assets, seeing the cars and whatever they own. So he did a really good job in trying to keep people's assets safe because there was other people trying to take advantage of these people and transfer their cars. So I believe they do a great job seeing it firsthand as a county worker also, so.
Especially with all today, trying to
sir.
take advantage of the seniors.
Hi, Jim Marlowe. I'm also on senior levy, and I just wanted to speak for a minute about the direction home piece of the funding. So this is an increase on that side of it. And as far as the ombudsman program goes, who has experience or knows what the ombudsman program does? So I'm a licensed therapist. I work in healthcare currently. I work in home care, but I spent like 12 years working in nursing homes. And the ombudsman, the best way to describe that is an advocate for those residents. So like Diana spoke on helping to get those folks to go home, which of course, when that's appropriate, that's fantastic. But they really step up for those residents that maybe don't have family members advocating for them. They are that, I want to say like a mediator between that resident and the state. So if they call that ombudsman, they're going to come in, they're going to investigate any questions, they're going to work with the facility's leadership, and they're going to get those problems solved. And it's just an easy, I won't say easy go-to, but kind of an easy go-to for those residents to make sure that they are taken care of. So it is.
And those are attorneys too, those ombudsman are attorneys.
No, they are not attorneys. They are managed through Direction Home, which does a lot of fantastic services for folks in the community. But this is a way that directly impacts those very, very vulnerable people that are in those homes currently.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Any other questions? No?
Nope.
Comments? Okay, back up to item 2. Item 2 is to approve. Thank you. Item 2 is to approve the bills. Items 3 through 6, those were submitted by the auditor's office. Christie?
Christie Safaric Auditor's Office. Item number 3 is the transfer of money request submitted to our office between the dates of July 16th through July 21st. We just have 3 sanitary engineer requests. The first one is for $300,000. Second one's for $160,000, and the third one is $250,000. And these are to start. They're from their project funds into the individual project funds for B&K Pack Plant Project, the Mineral Ridge Pump Station Project, and the Vienna. You put PP on here, conversion project, but I don't know what it stands for. What is that? Package plant. Thank you. Project. Thank you, Judy. So those are our 3 requests for the transfers of money. Item number 4 is to the additional appropriation request as submitted to our office between the dates of July 16th through July 21st. The auditor's office has a request for $28,000 approximately, and that's to approve the transfer that was put on last week for Timber Creek transfer. This was a project that was done a few years back, and now the special assessments are coming in on that, and we're moving it from the project fund back to the casino fund that had originally funded the project. The commissioner's office has a request for $200,000. Fund 79 is the opioid recovery program, and that's for the jail. Sanitary engineer's office has 3 requests, and those have to do with the money transfers that we talked about in item number 3. They just need to appropriate for those money transfers. The sheriff, $2,600 in Fund 60, and this is for mailing notices for registered sex offenders. And then Sheriff Tag's office has one for a little over $89,000 in Fund 105, and this is their new tag grant for this year. Item number 5 is the transfer of appropriation request from the period July 16th through July 21st. I won't go through all of these unless you have questions. This isn't a new budget, it's just old budget that's being moved from one account to another account. Questions?
Yeah, Christie, go back to the Timber Creek thing.
Yes.
Explain that a little better.
Back in, I think it was 2019, started in 2019, maybe the project started. It's a drainage district project It was done in the Champion.
Is that-
Is that, sorry. This is, all right, the paperwork.
If you want, I can explain.
State, thank
Yeah, if
you.
you want to, I don't.
Tell you about the budgetary part of this, but I can't tell you how it started.
Bill Danso, prosecutor's office. We have, as the commissioners probably know, a lot of these older drainage districts around the county that were installed. Generally, when the subdivisions were built with residential housing, and there's a whole statutory process that I won't bore you with that is meant to inspect those, gather money for them for future improvements. Long story short, here in Bezetta Township, one of the pipes that dealt with the runoff drainage water had structural problems, was causing some sinkholes in people's yards. One of the options, because the fund did not have enough money in it to cover that repair, one of the options was for the Board of Commissioners at the time to use general fund money and then reimburse the general fund money back with property assessments, because ultimately it is the residents of that drainage district who have to fund those repairs and improvements. And that was done. The Board of Commissioners paid for that out of the general fund. And it was assessed to all the property owners on their tax bill for, I can't remember the number of years and the number of payments, but it was a number of years. Could have been, yeah, that sounds right. So this is just this is like Christy said, this is just sort of a recouping of that money a little bit at a time from that project as it comes in from the homeowners. There were some homeowners, I believe, who did pay it up front.
That's a part of this, not to
No,
interrupt,
go
but I believe they paid it in 2023. We've kind of been looking at this since Mr. Masaki left. I was trying to figure out, because they kept saying advancing the money, and I couldn't find anywhere in legislation where the commissioners approved it where it actually said advance. But Attorney Danzo provided the legislative wording, and it is assumed to be in advance. And so this is what we're paying the casino money back from what was forwarded to them in 2019.
Somewhere around
The
it.
project started in 2019, but it took a few years to get going, and then they had public hearings for the special assessment. This is also a part of the people who had put their money down all up front. So, and then the special assessments we started receiving this year,
So
end of
how
last
much was
year,
the total project?
about 70,000.
70?
How often does it come in?
Special assessments are done with the real estate settlement twice a year. So this is 3 settlements and then the people who put their deposits down. We've talked to Shara, and we're going to just do it once a year now. So instead of doing it after the first and second settlement, we'll just do for the whole year after the second settlement.
So this is paying money back into the
casino
casino fund, not taking money out.
No, it's going from the Drainage District Fund 031 to the Casino Fund 943 to pay them back for money that was advanced to them a few years back.
So how many more drainage projects do we have throughout the county that Misaki was dealing with? 'Cause
Well-
we haven't discussed that since he left.
I think on my radar, there were probably about 3 or 4 that were kind of active projects. At this particular moment, though, I think all of them have been at least somewhat resolved. I don't know that there are any more active ones going on
Not
other
like
than
this.
this. Now, that being said, there are a lot of drainage districts around the county. So this is something that could reoccur at any point where somebody says, hey, why is there a sinkhole in my backyard? Or why is my detention or retention pond holding water, not holding water, filled with weeds, trees? Those are things that are all the responsibility of the drainage district to take care of, but the county, under the statutory authority for this, manages the funding. And a lot of these funds are underfunded, truthfully. So this could be something in the future that we have to deal with again. The extent, I don't know. It just, it almost at this point is, because of the number of drainage districts, it's almost we address it when we realize or when we're told that there's a problem.
Are there bonds expiring for developers or anything that we need to keep an eye on or refund money or
No, the bonds,
cancel bonds?
the bonds don't really cover any of this kind of stuff, whether it's municipal bonds or whether it's the performance bonds. This is again, the common practice in Trumbull County, I guess I will say, has been that when a developer puts in a subdivision and a drainage district goes along with it, they deposit somewhere around the $1,000 to $2,000 mark of upfront money into the special fund for that district. And then there is a process by which the property owners can sort of prepay on their taxes as a, a 2 time a year fee essentially that accumulates in that so that 20 years down the road, perhaps there's enough money in there. We historically haven't done that in this county, and the Attorney General has said that's fine. We don't have to start an assessment on any of these. The downside to that, obviously, though, is then we get into this situation where we're underfunded when that repair is necessary, and we have to do things like dip into the general fund to cover that, at least in the short term, until people reimburse it. But, I think it is something that the commissioners, it's good for you guys to maybe have a talk. I think, I don't mean to put the engineer's office on the spot, but I think Tom Gentis is kind of the guy who knows more about the drain or deals with the drainage districts more. Gary Schaefer, I know, deals with it sometimes too, but.
Yeah, Gary Schaefer, the engineer's office. Yeah, Tom and I historically had tag teamed on that. Tom does majority of the work, and then I oversee that. There's some discussions going on right now because we do have a complaint, and this process might start up again. Like Bill had said, historically, we've been reactive instead of proactive with these. There's been a few of them over time. I think one small one, the commissioners years ago just said, okay, we're going to absorb that one. Timber Creek was the first one. We went completely through the assessment process. And now you're collecting on it. So when I say we're reactive, I'd say every couple weeks complaints, sometimes it can be dealt with by the property owners, and sometimes they have taken those on themselves rather than go through the assessment process. We oversee that work and make sure it's done accordingly. But from time to time, we're going to get these and then have to go through the assessment, have the public hearing, what will we cover or what improvements need to be done, the estimated cost. And then we come back once it's done too to finalize the assessment, and then the commissioners vote on that assessment. But yeah, our office, I know there's some discussions in that. I don't know if the commissioners have been brought into this, just pretty close to that point, whether make changes to that or just proceed the way we have been. Boards in the past, it just kicked that can down the road, so to speak, saying we're just going to continue doing it this way rather than begin assessing. I think there's 40 drainage.
That's what I did.
Yeah, give or take.
Okay.
But we're definitely not kicking the can down the road. I mean, that's not the way to do it. We need to have a meeting to reassess the situation. Right? I mean, the can's been kicked long enough. I think we should meet and figure out,
I think it's a bigger problem than meets, it all boils down to dollars.
right?
Yes. And how do you go in and repair something that hasn't been taken care of for years?
I mean, do we?
And there are a lot of, I don't know how many districts we have, but we have several of them, and several of them are in need of improvements.
So, I mean, I don't know, I don't have the answer, but maybe it's worth having a discussion,
If I may, Julie Green, Trumbull County Planning. You said it boils down to the developers.
No.
I thought I couldn't hear back there.
Dollars.
Oh, dollars. Okay. All right. That's what I got. I just wanted to explain that you brought up bonding. So when we have a developer put in a major new subdivision, they're required to present you with bonding, and those typically are held until all the project construction is complete and approved by our various county agencies. But regarding, these particular drainage districts, I believe, they've been in the ground for sometimes decades when they fail. And at that point, it is the responsibility of the homeowners to address it. And I'm not sure if Gary wants to speak on, the county engineers involvement in that as well. I just wanted to bring that up.
I guess I would say that instead of bogging this particular workshop down, I mean, that is something that the commissioners are.
I'm not
I agree
talking
with
now.
that.
I mean,
If that's something you guys want to have a meeting to discuss, I have no problem with that. We can do that.
not right now.
Maybe bring, some other folks from the engineer's office into it and planning commission. We can do that.
Well, not an easy fix though.
Nothing is. Nothing's easy.
That's why I'm being scared.
Kick the can.
That's why I'm scared. Next.
I'm just saying we heard that expression a lot. And
So we're on item 6.
Excellent. Item 6 is to approve the then and now list for June 2026 that was attached. This is something we ask to be approved every month. These are bills that were paid in June of 2026, in which the invoice date preceded the purchase order date. Any questions? Me?
Where are you going?
Yeah, excellent.
Okay, items 7 through 12 were submitted by the county engineer's office. Gary?
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, Gary Schaefer, Engineers Office. 7 is to approve the closure of Braceville Robinson Road, August 15th from 9 to 12. And that's in coordination with Braceville Community Foundation 5K Fun Run and Walk that they have annually. We're to approve the agreement with Denix, the load rating of 20 bridges. Number 9 is to approve the agreement with American Structure Point, the load rating of 19 bridges. 10 is to approve the agreement with GAI Consultants. And that's a continuation of that Route 45 Kimberly Clark Access Road. So they'll actually be performing design review for the 3 design contracts that are approved by the commissioners and fully underway. So submittals are coming in, and we need the GAI on board, so doing technical design. 11 is to approve the agreement with Thomas Folk and Associates to assist us with estimating other engineering in conjunction with the PWC applications that are due this year. Number 12 is to approve 17 Bright Street permits. 20 or 17 fiber permits there that on the commissioners. And the majority of those, I believe, are part of the ARPA funded fiber extensions, improvements up north. Just are these areas that Loomis has already hit, or is this?
This is Bright Street.
I know, but I mean, Loomis, did they already?
Yeah, Commissioner, these areas, I think they're gonna be the first fiber in. I mean, you take a look at some of these roads, you see Girdle Road, there's nothing out there. And that's why they're Bright Speed is funded by the commissioners. I believe Julie, the planning commission had assisted you guys with that. 2.5 million, I believe, was put into this, and we're seeing a lot of these applications, a lot of big extensions out there to hit those areas that are underserved.
They well, you know, the issues we have in mind, and just looking at the amount of them, my question is when they do, I know that 811 has to deal with this, but are they doing all these asking for these permits, marking these locations and hitting them right away? Or are they hitting them like they leaving them a month, 2 months down the road? What are they doing?
It's hard to tell. When we give them 17 permits, I know they're not gonna jump on all 17. I've asked them several times to prioritize. This is just 17. I mean, we priority approved a few dozen for Bright Speed up in that area. As they're working their way around to the townships.
My only concern is, commissioners, you know, we talked about, we have extensive meetings on all this, and we talk about this. And when they mark these, they don't always go to that location after the marking. And then some of those flags or what have you get moved, and we just don't want any, you know, I just don't want to see any.
They know the rules and you're supposed to remark.
Gary, these permits, though, you're given a permit that's good for perpetuity till they do it, or is there
That's
certain
correct.
days they have to do it?
I could get a call.
So they're just getting the permits now. They'll call and mark probably later and then work accordingly as they
And
go.
a lot of times they'll call on a bunch of them and not get around to all. They're supposed to call and remark.
Yeah.
And
Oh, they'll
they can
remark.
And that's another one of the problems. It's overwhelming these locating companies. They're going out and marking these places for 3rd, 4th, 5th time, and in addition to all the new work.
So they will remark.
They're supposed to. Will they?
And your
I know you
permits,
can't.
your permits do contain the name of the subcontractor that Bright Street will be using. Or not?
Commissioners?
Can't remember on these ones. Typically, it'll be Bright Speed, and then, they'll have ASW or whoever else is going.
So once you grant a permit, it's good forever.
That's correct.
It doesn't have a limit.
Yeah, getting some of these now, I gotta go back and check. They were actually issued last July, August. It's not getting around those roads.
So Julie Green, Trumbull County Planning, if these are the ones that are being paid for with ARPA, I'll make a call after
this meeting to Justin Mondock. I believe Eastgate is under contract directly with Brightspeed to carry out this out on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. So at least for these 17 and how many more that are covered under your ARPA funding, we will have all of that information available as soon as I can gather it. Nick's out of town this week, but I'll follow up with Justin.
Okay, I just want, we bring it up because we've had some issues.
I mean, we've had negative with this, but the bottom line, the good is
I know.
Mesopotamia, Bristol, Green, Kinsman, they're gonna get high-speed fiber, which
Right.
those people have been screaming for that for forever. And we're finally bringing it to them, so we don't wanna taint that issue of it. We do
No.
want it to be done safely, but we're blessed to be in a position to be able to provide Bloomfield and Mesco and Gustavus places we never ever would have had the money to do had we not had ARPA funds for this.
I mean, it's just overwhelming to see the amount of permits. You know, I've not seen these amount of permits, and that's what happens when they come in and,
But in this case, we're on it
yeah, okay.
specifically. So
Okay.
we will make sure that you get the information back to all three of you.
I talked to Dick last week on this, about the northern part. And I was under the impression that a lot of that area had already been serviced. Is that not true? That's what he told me.
I would have to ask.
Because I asked him how many houses are available and how many houses have been serviced, and I thought, you know, there's just very little left up there.
Right.
No, there's a main line.
Well,
They came from Chicago to New York.
Tell me what he told me, okay? So, I mean, I was on this last week and we had that conversation with
I'll
that,
let you know.
and Nick's on top of it, and so,
He's out. But I'll let you
Yeah,
know.
so-
I'll find out.
yeah, and I was satisfied with his answer.
Okay.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, item 13, to approve the personnel actions for the employment of a total of 2 candidates for the Child Support Enforcement Agency. This was submitted by Job and Family Services. Shelley, want to add?
We're just looking to fill Shelley Blosser, Job and Family Services. We needed establishment specialists, 2 positions opened up, so we have new hires, Beth Lewis and Alexandria Hebner. They will start at $17.03 an hour and have a 9-month probation.
Item 14, to receive and place on file for record purposes, the June 2026 monthly activity report for Veteran Service Commission and Veteran Service Office. Item 15, to authorize the Trumbull County Planning Commission to send notification letters to all Trumbull County's currently registered and licensed home sewage treatment system installers, announcing the request for price proposal packets are now available for pickup at Trumbull County Planning Commission. Lori, any questions? Good. You need me? I'm gonna go call Justin. Thank you.
Thanks, Neil.
Okay, item 16, to approve the personnel action for the employment of Ms. Lila Burrows for a full-time position of 911 telecommunicator in Trumbull County 911 Center, $20 per hour, effective August 16, 2026. Casey, anything to that?
Commissioners, just to add, this puts us to, we currently have 18 full-time, 1 in training and 1 supervisor. It's another one we're slowly making it crawl back to, getting back to better staffing numbers. Our 2 recent trainees, both of them were released to full-time within the last week, so that really helps cover vacations and whatnot. Also, while I'm here, just a brief update, I'm gonna give Lisa a form that I've been requested to have you guys sign from ID Networks, our current CAD vendor. They've seen some recent things in the news with, you requesting funding from the state for a new 911 center and a new CAD. So they have some concerns about our current contract with them, which is due the end of this month. So I'll give that to Lisa for you guys to possibly sign. Basically, they're threatening to drop us for support if we don't pay our full contract, which we have intentions of paying. I was just kind of waiting to see what was happening with the CAD project.
with the talks with the police departments and everything that was going on with all the demos. I do have a meeting tomorrow with all the police chiefs to kind of follow up on those demos and the quotes to see where they're at for us to then come to you guys.
They want a 1-year contract?
Well, we have yearly contracts with them. They're due every July. The way they do it, it goes July to June. It's not like January to December, which would make things a little bit easier, but at any rate, it's $170,000 that we have to pay them. Obviously, if we were to go with a new CAD vendor, depending on how that goes, it's not gonna be, within 3 months that we're up and working. Typically, it takes a lot longer than that. But they've been seeing kind of the news reports. They're a little irritated, I guess would be the polite way to say it. So.
Well, I don't know why they'd be irritated if we're trying to upgrade the service for the police departments. I mean, you would think that would be a good thing.
Well,
Well, because you're not doing it with them.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I understand
That's
that.
what
No, I understand
yeah.
that, but let's look at the large picture here. It would be a better thing for everyone if we could upgrade the CAD system. So let's don't leave that impression that it would be a bad thing. It would be a good thing.
No.
Okay.
You know me, I'm open for new technology. I'm
Right.
just saying that's kind of where we're at.
I was just afraid the way you were presenting that, it was a bad thing, and let's make sure it would be a good thing, not a bad thing.
well, it would be a good thing if this company drops us, then we don't have the other one in place.
I understand that, but
Right, I just don't wanna be without a service maintenance
we're gonna
contract.
get the contract and we'll give it to prosecutor's
Historically, they
office.
go yearly or historically, I mean, is there a bi-year, is there a
Well,
biannual?
it depends on how you do it. Sometimes when you first sign with the CAD, you might do 3 years because you might get a lower rate.
Oh.
A lot of times, like if we do a Lumen contract, sometimes it's 5 years because it's a better rate. But this
How
CAD,
long was this last one, Casey?
we've been year to year for the last few
Year to
years. Because we're, I think we're in year 8 or 9. That was well before I got here. I'm not sure what the original was. But I just wanted to make you
Yeah,
aware
we'll
of
get
it.
the contract, we'll get with the prosecutor's office and look at it. And we have quotes coming in, they're due any day now too.
Yeah, I have our quote for the 911 center. I'm gonna speak with the police chiefs tomorrow to see if they've received theirs and kind of what kind of feedback. It's obviously if you want to move that way, you want everybody to buy in, and because that would make it easier for everyone, so. Thank you.
Item 17 is to amend Commissioners' regular meeting agenda dated January 5th, 2026, item number 17. That read to adopt a resolution setting forth new mileage rates effective January 1st, 2026, pursuant to the Internal Revenue Service and Treasury Department 2026 optional standard mileage rates. The rate will be 72.5 cents per mile for all business miles. Amendment is necessary to update the rate to 76 cents per mile for all business miles in accordance with a recent update by the Internal Revenue Service effective July 1st, 2026.
Sharon, do we have any idea how many employees would take advantage of that or utilize their own vehicles for work?
We're really not reimbursing too much mileage these days. Like basically, if we have workforce going anywhere, that's just kind of included in a trip. It's minimal. It's minimal at best. We really don't, under us anyway. I don't know about other departments, but under us, we're not paying out too much.
I mean, are there any other departments that use that regularly where they drive and take your reimbursement? What I'm getting at is 75 cents a mile.
Yeah,
If some of these people do it daily or something, that we may be looking at
most
the
often.
option of a county vehicle cheaper than
Well, most
reimbursement.
often they do. If they're daily, they usually have a vehicle, a county vehicle. We're not having too many that are driving daily I have 0 that we're reimbursing daily.
In our department,
Yes, under us.
but we don't know other departments.
I don't know.
Do you know Alex from insurance?
My understanding is the commissioners used to get a car and gas. We don't charge anything. We have our own cars and we have our own fuel.
That's correct.
Just to be clear about it.
And let's just keep
You're
it that
absolutely
way.
cool.
And we keep it that way.
You do.
And we could,
So
if we chose
those running know that.
if we chose to, we could.
We could,
Yes.
but we elect not to. And these days it could add
But
up.
most often, if somebody's driving daily, they have a county vehicle to go. So then we're covered, under the maintenance, vehicle maintenance takes care of it, that kind of thing. So,
But other office holders, they can do whatever they want,
yes, correct,
that we have no control over.
yes.
And
No, and Commissioners, this policy, this is in your county, Alex and Jonesy Bush Human Resources Department, this is in your county policies and procedures, because this does affect, as Chair mentioned, just the commissioner's office. This is countywide. So this is for every other elected official too, doing business, or any of their employees doing business. And believe it or not, even though this county has an auto fleet of 347 cars, that's really not, when you think about how many employees we have in this county, 1,200 full-time roughly. There are employees driving cars, in other natures of business. Do all of them put in mileage? Maybe not necessarily. That's a good point. Most don't.
Well, there is a limit too. It has to be over 50
Yeah.
miles. You
Correct.
can't just go down to the Grand Resort for a meeting and then come back. So it has to be over, there are parameters that they have to follow. So,
And it has to be pre-approved. So anything
Yes.
with, procurement, it's that then and now again, there should be a travel submission put in beforehand with an itinerary that you can then correspond that itinerary back to what we're paying. So that way, obviously, everything matches up. So that's all in the county policy. And I'm grateful that you guys put this on because this does affect the entire county. So this is a good time to make sure that it gets, the county policy just says per IRS standards. So had you not acknowledged the change in IRS standards, I guess it could have just, gone through as well as whatever the IRS says it is. But I think that this was the best way to address it publicly. So everybody's on the same page.
When people go to conferences, Columbus and that, we don't have enough vehicles.
We
for
don't.
them to supply,
No, we do not.
so They take their own.
That's
vehicle
correct.
and
Yep.
That's what.
Which would be over the 50 miles per, what shares that. So it all corresponds to policy.
And when you figure cost of the vehicle, insurance, wear and tear.
You'd be surprised. Yeah, it's almost cheaper too. You'd be surprised that it is cheaper too.
Especially if you only use it once or twice a year.
Correct.
anything else on that? Okay, item 19, to authorize the second amendment to Commissioners' regular meeting agenda dated December 17, 2025. That authorized amendment to the existing resolution and agreement between the Board of Commissioners and the Trumbull County Land Reutilization Corporation, also known as Trumbull County Land Bank, approved on January 18, 2024, for the purpose of providing matching funds for the Ohio Department of Development, Demolition, and Brownfield Remediation Program in the amount of $2 million funded through American Rescue Act funds, utilizing Fund 077. He said the First Amendment is to authorize a decrease in funding from $2 million to $1,100,000. This Second Amendment, this resolution and agreement is to authorize a decrease from $1,100,000 to $775,000. This Sheraton Commissioner's Office, this is just cleanup because we neglected to put, there had to be 2 agenda items and we only put 1 on to give the land bank the extra money, but we also needed to have it on to decrease funding to Brownfield. So that's all it says. So we're just cleaning it. Okay. Item 20, that was submitted by sanitary.
Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer, commissioners, item 20, this is the engineering, contract for the Williams Drive Water Improvements Project. We are a water project for next year. We need to get the design engineering done, get these drawings turned into Ohio EPA. And hopefully when I nominate it next year for us along on the design, they'll give me 50% principal forgiveness, project.
Gary, would you like to put on Crane Drive now?
Well, the public comment period is coming Friday,
Okay, so you want to wait?
so let's just wait till next week,
Okay.
okay?
All right.
And so far, we only have 1 opposed to Crane Drive.
Okay, item 21, to approve the resignation of Ms. Buffy Davis, custodians with Building Maintenance Department effective July 20th, 2026. Next, see Daryl in here, Alex, so you wanna add to that?
Cut and dry, I think.
Okay. So there is one other item we need to add with regards to property allowing Warren City Schools to utilize some property.
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to do it, if you want to do it, I sent you that email too, but it's up to you.
So to grant to the Warren City Schools the right to use real property owned by the Trumbull County Board of Commissioners at 2282 Reeves Road from August 1st through October 30th, 2026. Cross-country team and associated race activities constituting public and recreational purposes. As a condition of this use, Warren City Schools must add the Trumbull County Board of Commissioners as an additional insured and additional covered party under the insurance and or risk pool coverage and provide a copy of the certificate of insurance to the Board of Commissioners. Note, Corsa has been notified of this activity and Warren City Schools has complied with all requirements set forth by Corsa.
Have insurance. No issue.
So you're using it for cross-country needs.
That would have been my only question. Do they have insurance?
So I'm going to go ahead and add that because they need to update their schedules.
Have they used it in the past? Is this a new?
I don't recall.
I believe this is a new use.
Yeah. I've never seen this.
God bless those people who are in cross country.
And that.
From the same note, commissioners, I had a correspondence from the law director in Warren. They have an interest in seeing if we are willing to trade, sell, or come up with some type of agreement for them to utilize the parking lot of Panther, where we have our maintenance building, our former sheriff's department outlet. We had a big parking lot there that we cleared all the cars out of there last year. Daryl got rid of 40 some cars, and then like to expand that into over the Harding High School in cooperation with the city of Warren. And we're not utilizing it for anything but storing junk there. It seems like it's filling back up with cars again. I drove by there today and there were about 20 cars parked that looked like they were beat up or non-working order. We do have our gas pumps there at the building where we fill up. It is utilized right now as the building is utilized for our auto maintenance department. They would like the building also, if they could, to tear the building down. But they said they'd be okay with just the parking lot area if we were to divide it and just give them the parking area in the back where we use for storage. But that's something I wanted to see if we could have Attorney Danzo work with their law director, just look at the parameters of what they want and see if it's a good deal for us somehow, or if it's
I think first thing they ought to do is write the board a letter stating what they would like us, what their plans are, what they would like to use the property for. Put it in a letter to the full board. That would be my recommendation. Let's see what they're talking about.
Sheriff Taylor, Commissioner's Office, there are also problems with the parking lot. Like there's major holes.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, I
we should address that.
understand.
We should, the proper way to do it would be to send the board a letter stating what they're asking and then we'll take it from there.
I'd be their law director. He's the one that reached out to me to ask if he wanted basically permission to talk to our law director. I said I would bring it up to the board.
I'm putting it in writing.
Yeah, Bill Danso, prosecutor's office. I would just say that legally speaking, that's not a hard thing because it's another governmental entity. The statute gives us pretty clear authority to grant leases, rights, easements, sell property to other public entities, political subdivisions. The question though is just what do they want and what are you guys comfortable with? So really, I mean, I'll help with it. I have no problem with that, but the decision really is going to have to come from you guys of, if we're going to give it away through an easement, if we're going to sell it, what are you guys going to do with the people that are there now? What are you guys going to do with the vehicles and equipment that are there now? So I agree. I think it should come to you guys first. And
Absolutely.
As I'm put in writing, we submit.
The only thing I have, commissioners, we received a letter or an email from EMA Director Hickey. We had put out a directive to reinitiate the way that the emergency sirens are initiated due to the recent tornado and the fact that what had happened. I lived it in Hubbard, where those sirens did not go off at one time when there was a warning. So I think John Hickey wants to meet to discuss. I know there's some townships where the sirens aren't even working. But those that are, there should be that 7 minute, 3 minute, 7 minute, 3 minute, and till the end of the warning. I have got a lot of complaints in Hubbard Township, Hubbard City, and the whole area. I've been receiving complaints about the sirens not going off. Now, we have the phones, which are a great thing to have, but some people rely on that siren. So you're watching the tornado on TV and there's no sirens. It's very unusual. So I think we have to have a meeting and get with John Hickey and
Well, the policy.
figure this
The
out.
policy was changed and,
It was changed.
And-
It should not have been changed.
right, and commissioners were not made aware of it.
No,
Okay,
right.
so,
Yeah. I wish, Tacey left, but I wish he was
well,
still here.
we can have a meeting with John
John,
Hickey and Tacey and prosecutor's office.
that's what we should
Well,
do.
there's bigger problems anyway, because if they did, I try to activate some and they're not working. I know John's letter also
That's the
stated.
township.
But all the ones
Well,
that,
John says in there, it may not be the township's problem. That's what he wanted a meeting to see on
Yeah.
whose responsibility for the safety system. And if the problem is occurring on 911's end of it, our electronics, it's not the township's problem.
Right.
That's what John's saying. We need to get to the bottom of who's responsible to fix it
And
if they are broken.
and as a township trustee, I remember, and you know, as a township trustee, Mike, the township is responsible. Now, the state will not repair or fix those. The township's going to be responsible. In Hubbard's case, they all work. I know that emphatically because at the noon hour,
They work if you.
They
flip
all
the
work.
switch.
it needs to be switched.
Yeah, if you flip. the
They
switch,
did not
work.
flip the switch, and that's what we need. We need this. You can't leave people out there like that. I brought it up last week, and I think we need to meet with Hickey
Well,
and find out.
And I talked to John too, and Mr. Hickey, and I agree with him. If you're gonna change the policy, people need to know what the policy is. You can't just change the policy and no one knows
That's
what the new policy is, and
right.
and I agree. In that meeting, you know what, you're right, we need to schedule that sooner than later.
Yeah,
And probably notify the townships, let them know that their sirens aren't working.
or we want to know which townships they aren't working. That's a great idea to send them a letter. Listen, if they're not currently working, then there needs to be some sort of an initiative to find out how you're going to, notify your public. It's a safety item. So.
And knowing John Hickey, I'm sure he's on it right now as far as testing to see who's is working and whose isn't. So I'm sure he's not overlooking that.
That's all I had.
Okay, we have a couple executive sessions, anything from the public before we go into executive? Gary, you have anything?
Gary?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I got Commissioner Hernandez, I needed 2 signatures from him, but I'm going to executive with you.
Oh, are you? We have 2 of them. You on both of them?
I think I'm just the first one.
Do you want to let them know?
Yeah, we don't have anything.
Yeah, they can updates on
Oh, do you have?
Diane.
I did. I put
Okay.
one up to give you an update.
Okay, go ahead, Diane.
Okay. Diane Jakovic, Senior Levy and Transit Interim Administrator. I just want to give you an update, what's been going on in our office. I give you 5 minutes here to use this release. So we did the lawn mowing program this year. I plan to do it again next year, the same way we did it this year. It's been great. We have 3 vendors. We've had calls from other vendors that want to be part of it for next year. We served 30 more people this year than we did in the past programs. We're taking pictures, we're getting the pictures, we're proving that the service was done. We're not getting very many complaints. You can't keep everybody happy. So we do hear from those who want the grass cut shorter or left a little mark in the road or in the grass. It's funny. It's been fun. So lawn mowing is going well. which brings me up to date with, snow removal will be coming up, and we're going to do the same thing. We're gonna put it out for quotes and work through the budget with that. So I'm hoping that works as well with the snow removal. Our database program we use is, I'm piggybacking with Direction Home. The Direction Home is directed to use the software that the state orders through the Ohio Department of Aging. They're changing software at the state level, so Direction Home is changing software with them. We may not be able to piggyback on it. I've been in contact with the current program we're using and the one that the state is going to see if we can piggyback or do something in order to keep that database. I prefer to use the same program so we have that history instead of having to transition the history, because as we know, the software doesn't always transition easily. So I'm hoping to still use the same program. It cost us like $7,500 in the past. I'm hoping to have that same cost with that same program. So I'm working towards that in January. I will need to be doing on-site visits for all the vendors with both the senior levy contracts and the transit, more importantly, the transit contracts, because the FTA and ODOT require me to go out and do oversight visits. So I'll be doing that with both programs. I did meet the new director at Scope. His name's Jeff Rizzilli, I think is how you say that. He used to be a teacher at Champion Schools. He just retired. He's just interim with Scope for the next year. We've already had some issues that I've worked through with him. He's been great as far as just moving things forward for our senior centers. And lastly, under the senior levy, I mentioned earlier about the 5-year survey that's done by Miami University, the Scripps Gerontology. It's a nice resource for me, so we know what direction the state's going and to keep things moving, according to what the state requests are. So that's all I have under senior levy. Under transit, so it's been fun. I did meet with the vendors right away. June 18th, we had a meeting to work through some misconceptions of how the system's supposed to be being used, especially with the approval of non-medical trips that was done by prior administration. So we're cleaning up some things. It looks like our system will have 50,000 trips instead of 40,000 that we've usually had. We're projected to have 50,000 trips, which means more money might be needed in the area of senior levy. I'm watching that budget currently, and I may be coming back to you to ask for additional funding just to get through the senior rides. The disabled and the Board of DD, their funding promise is going to meet demand, so we won't need to do anything with that. I did talk to Lisa. You as a county, you guys are working towards an electronic bid process. So I'm hoping to jump on that for our next bid process, which will be the senior centers next year. So I did talk to a couple companies as far as the electronic bidding that they have. So if we ever get to that point, we need to continue looking. I have talked to a few that I can, we can look at their programs as well. I think their costs are way out of whack compared to what the county plans on using, but I'm hoping that we can jump on that with the senior levy. The same with our trip logs right now. I can't tell you how challenging it is to take 40,000 trips and put them onto one trip log from 4 different vendors. We have them using the same format, but it still doesn't come through easily. So Mary Beth has been very instrumental in trying to create that annual trip log so we can sort it and see how many trips are the veterans using, how many trips are wheelchair, how many are non-medical. So I did get 25 put together, and I gave you an analysis as the second page. That's this page here that has the bold box. That is our breakdown of 2025's trips. So I mean, I can go through the numbers or you can just review them on your own. We are projected to have about a $1.8 million gross cost system before grants, as opposed to 1.4 million in the past. That's how much growth we're seeing in our system. One thing I said I would not change. I'm not here to make changes in the transit system. I was just working through until you decide what you're going to do. But one thing I really am wanting you to push with the new Jobs and Family Services Administrator is to get wheelchair Medicaid transportation. We should not be paying for those trips.
And you want it done?
Mahoning County covers the wheelchair transport. Ashtabula covers wheelchair transport. Trumbull County does not.
I would agree, JFS should.
Why don't?
Talk to your
Because-
director.
Well, they used to.
Hold it, I'm gonna ask you.
They used to.
So you're saying it's the director's decision? I'm just asking.
I don't get anywhere when I ask the same question. I'm just told it's not done.
JFS should be contributing to transportation that way, and that's for that service. And I know in the past they have.
Well,
So
here's my
I'm
question.
trying to get a dollar amount too in
Right,
that
and
analysis, but
If
it's.
they do, then would that mean a reduction in another area that they're providing? And the answer is probably yes, we just don't know what area.
Yeah, but I think the money's there.
I was told in the past they didn't have any vendors. We have 3 wheelchair providers.
I mean, that's not the first time I've heard that complaint, if I could characterize it like that, but, and you're right, we need to look at that.
If there's anything I can get done before I leave and the new administrators take over, then that's one thing I would like to see.
Well, if it's being done in other counties and we're not going to be.
It's state dollars. It should be being paid for this, not like senior levy.
And that would open senior level money.
To other services. It's okay.
For other areas. Right?
Like 10,000 trips or so, right?
At one time when I looked at it, back in 2018, it was $100,000.
That's costing us.
Because you get wheelchair Medicaid going to Dallas. Dallas is 3 days a week. Times, $75 a week that it's costing us, times 52 weeks. That should
And
be
you
paid
brought
for
this up
by
before?
one person.
You've brought this up before.
I have.
Well, hopefully this will be the last time.
I hope so. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. Sarah, do you have?
I just am giving you guys folders.
Okay.
So you want them now or you want to
Well,
wait?
you just don't have to be.
Okay, yeah, sure can.
You're in the box.
So we'll do the executive session, then come back for budget.
Well, we got 2 executive sections.
You want to do them now? You want me to read it?
Right.
Okay, commissioners will make a motion to enter an executive session pursuant to the Ohio Vice Code 12122G1 to consider the appointment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee at the sanitary engineers department.
Second.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Mr. Bernard.
Yes.
executive session pursuant to High Code 121-221, consider appointment, political dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee to the sanitary engineers department.
Second.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yeah.
Mr. Bernard.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, now I make a motion in executive session pursuant to RC 121-22G1 for the investigation of complaints against public employee.
Okay.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Bernard.
Yes.
This one shouldn't be so. Commissioner,
All right, commissioners, I'd like to make a motion to reconvene from executive session pursuant to RC 12122 the investigation of complaints against public employee.
second?
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Bernard.
Yes. Okay, we have one more item.
Yeah, I just, Chair Taylor, Commissioner's Office, I have one question before I do your orders. I was contacted by the coroner yesterday, and his scale actually died is for the bodies. Terrible. But anyway, it was 30 years old. You have to wait. It died. It was 30 years old, and apparently we bought it used. So he did some research. If you look up morgue scales, they're like anywhere from 20,000 to 10,000. So he was not satisfied with that. So he did a little digging, and he found an industrial scale that will do the same identical thing. It's the same thing for $1,600. I just need to get money his way. So I was thinking I could,
That's a no-brainer.
I just,
Isn't that part of the ARP funds that we already have in there for his equipment now?
not for that. This is just something that we have to replace because it broke. But I could use our contingency fund to transfer it.
You want it on the agenda?
No, because it's not even an asset, piece of equipment. It's just something he has to have for his. I just wanted to make sure it was okay with you if I transferred from contingency and get us what he needs.
Mhm.
Okay, there you go. Now. Let's see. Turn on. Thank you.
Yeah.
So. Lisa, this is your copy. As you can see, I didn't reinvent the wheel. I used the same spreadsheet. To show at the last column on the big one, it's what is needed. You see it, it's in green. So it shows each department what they actually need to make it to the end of the year. And for the commissioner's line item, I only placed what was desperately needed right now, utilities and some things like that that we're a little over on. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Well, should we click this and digest it?
That's what I would suggest that.
Yeah, so we can
Yeah.
look at it.
I guess explain it a little better to us though before we know what we're digesting.
Sure. What do you want?
Like where are the shortages? Where are
The shortage, if you look at the top column, it shows you up here. This was what we gave them. This was their request. We gave them this. This was. This is the shortage right here.
what's this column here?
This column here, this is what they spent, what we ended up giving them. We got 10,154. So we even had to short ourselves a little bit. We still owe this to 911 yet. So these are the columns that you need to look at. This is what they need to make it. This is where they lined up. But this was where they were short. So like if you look at,
So the auditor needs nothing.
she's not even asking for anything right now because she was only shorted 156,000 from her request. And one thing you have to remember about these are all requests. Most departments are pretty square in their numbers. We have a pretty large number for Board of Elections.
These numbers take us to year end
Yes, they're supposed to.
in the green.
Yes, that's what their needs are right now. The auditors.
Do we have anything that shows the reasoning for their needs? We have
Well,
the
they-
needs here, but where's the reasoning?
There's backup all here. It just shows you what most of them are employees. Like if you go here, here's the treasurer current budget status. Here's what I went over with. This is exactly where he went, and this was his total. It wasn't even, it was just barely a little bit below what he actually requested at the beginning of the year. But I think we all know the treasurer is pretty spot on in his numbers. But each one, their emails, and that's what that was their explanation. I don't know what to say.
First of all, very good graphs. Thank you for
You're welcome.
furnishing them.
Each one, it shows the
we do need-
percentage of use and that kind of thing, and where they were requesting it, I tried to highlight and I did a little extra for them, so. But the first page was exactly what is available right now, 1.3. So as you can see, we don't have as much to work with as what we would like to, but.
And agreeing on that, that's what they need now.
No, this is this is the difference, budgeted versus actual. This is the difference in what we've actually collected in sales tax. This is a report from the auditor.
So those are all positive numbers. That's more than we expected to get.
Well, I think I think they did adjust it to reflect that we were getting more in per month regardless. And she said she would be able to better project in August because we were gonna have a real idea what we were on the interest.
Definitely gonna have to
Yeah, we got it.
chew
I
on all
think
this.
we need to take a look at it.
Stuff.
We can come to you with it.
Yes. If you have any
Yeah.
questions, I'll
Oh,
help.
we're gonna have a lot of them.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
the other thing too, I mean, this isn't all the way correct either, because even Fair Board, we have 35. When we approved them, the judges, for all the extra manpower for the sheriff's department, we go the extra 20 or 25 or whatever we committed to. That's not reflected on here anymore.
No, it's not, because this is their budget. You just committed extra money, so we would have to take that out of contingency or wherever. You committed that money, so we have to figure out where you want to take it. That doesn't have to do with budget. That's over and above. This is just the budget.
So Commissioner, what she's saying is you just allocated them the 35. You didn't go back and say we're gonna give them
No.
45 or 55.
And we didn't do that.
So that's why that's gonna still show up at 35, because that was what was originally.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be in the need column if that's what they still need above and beyond what we already gave them?
No, because this is, you guys committed to doing that. That's separate and above from budget. This is budget. That's all this is. So whether you commit to give extra wherever that case, it never shows up on that line item. We have a journal action that you said, this is what we're going to do for you, or you agreed to it, you know, whatever the case may be.
We don't have a journal item for it yet. But that would be less than in the available funds.
Yes. Yes. Unless you take it from someone. Like we have our contingency fund and we also have, you know, you can go in and take a little extra out of 921, but it will reduce our available cash. I agree.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers.
Couple of hefty ones in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, and the backup is in there, Denny. I did the spreadsheets and like what the actual department said they needed and whatnot. So it's all attached behind it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Definitely have a question.
And I'm going to skip behind to corner section.
They're gonna have to.
I know, it's horrible. And he was actually though, I have to commend our coroner. He's a great doctor and great coroner. He literally was extremely, not only that, but he does his homework. Like just because it said more, this scale was $20,000 and he found a very with same specs, same everything with a 5-year warranty for
Is it
16.
this scale that he found?
Yes, brand new. So the last one that lasted 30 years, but they do make things a little different. So I don't think this one will quite last 30 years, but we bought that one used. So but he's
Maybe we should buy
Right.
2 of them. At that
Yeah.
price.
$1,600. I mean, yeah. So it was great.
What's the warranty? We run out on the second one.
Yeah,
If it-
before we got to it. But he's, yeah, I can't say enough about the doctor. He really is. He's fantastic at his job. Yes.
Motion,
You want to call it? Is there any public? Did we already call that?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
motion to adjourn.
When are we gonna reconvene on these things, make decisions?
Well, let's look
Well, yeah,
over.
probably next week. Yeah, yeah.
Sure, if we have any, sure, I have a lot of questions.
I can add it again.
Add it again for next week. We need to talk about it publicly, you know, I'd like to go line by line with each of the commissioners, decide how we're gonna divvy this amount up between what we have.
Right.
It's gonna have to be a public discussion.
And I don't disagree with that. I don't know that, I don't think we call the departments, and I think we look at the numbers and then we make.
No, but we know right away, if we got 1.7 and we need 4.3, we're gonna be
It's-
$2.5 million short of the needs.
Well, that's why. I guess
Unless we
we
come
have
up
to
with it from somewhere else.
look at this all and then call and talk to Sharon. Get, you know what I mean, Danny? I mean, I don't think we're gonna hash this out right now.
I'll help her.
Good. Motion to adjourn?
Second,
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
yes.
Mr. Bernard.
Yes, and then we're back at 2. With the Cedars Mountain.
Enough time for McDonald's.